Hi everybody, how you doing? I am Johan. That is Charleston. On today's Better with Age, we have a fantastic guest joining us from Regina, Saskatchewan. This man has done some incredible things already and more to come. We have the CEO, a very important person, obviously, of FHQ Development here in Regina, Mr. Thomas Benjoe. Thomas, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Yeah, looking forward to the show here today.
So, right there, I want to say, CEO, you look young as fuck. What? You are a young guy here in Regina, Saskatchewan. How are you doing? We'll get into maybe a little bit about how you got into that role and position, but tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, like you said, President and CEO of FHQ Developments. Been in this role now for about 4.5 years. You know, this is something I've always wanted to do, and be able to help our Indigenous community and help my own community. Quite frankly, to be a part of business and then be successful in business. So that was my goal since I was in high school, and now we're running a multi-million-dollar organization and own several companies in the construction industry to the tech industry, soon to be in the renewable energy sector. So we're quite excited about where we're going with the organization, and yeah, just look forward to the opportunity that's going to be created here for our youth.
Yeah, and you guys recently, you've gotten a lot of press over the last little while. That's where we kind of popped up and saw a little bit of what you've been doing lately. But you recently came with a great story about FHQ Development and yourself in the Globe and Mail. Tell us a little bit about that story and how that's going for you.
Yeah, well, I was featured in the Globe and Mail's report on business. So they selected the top 50 change makers in Canada, and yeah, I was nominated and was able to go through the final process, and was selected as one of the top 50. And they're able to do a little extra story on what it is that I do, and how we're trying to make changes here in the business community in Saskatchewan. So it was, yeah, quite an honor to get that award, and
I was gonna say,
great
were you
recognition.
the youngest guy on that list?
I'm not sure that I didn't get a chance to go through the full roster of the 50 selected recipients. But, yeah, is awesome.
Let's talk a little bit about that. I want to talk about a little bit about the Indigenous community and obviously here in Saskatchewan. I grew up here in Saskatchewan, Thomas. I grew up in Saskatoon. I came to Regina. I've lived in Saskatchewan the majority of my life. So, here in Saskatchewan, the one thing we always kind of, I guess, shy away from is kind of the racism thing. We think that, and as Canadians, we think we're always very polite, or we don't think that there's maybe as much racism with maybe the Indigenous community, or when Charleston said, we were talking last week, Charleston said that he can kind of maybe relate to some Indigenous communities because when he comes here to Canada, he kind of is looked at it a little bit differently just because there's not as many African Americans, African Canadians here in doing that. How has it been growing up here in Saskatchewan as a very proud a member of your community and Indigenous individual? How has it been growing up here in Saskatchewan?
It hasn't been without its challenges, but I was have a pretty strong family behind me, so I was built with the right skill set and tools to be able to deal with any issues that any other Indigenous person would deal with on a daily basis. And I often talk about how I was treated even in high school to as compared to now, or just issues sometimes that it depends on how I dress. I mean, if I'm dressed like this today, obviously I get a bit more respect. but if I dress down and, have a bunny hug, or, I am not dressed up, obviously I know what my day is going to be like. But I've built, I guess, the tool set to be able to handle those types of situations, and be able to correct people. And I've always taken those types of moments. If we do run into a, let's say, a negative situation with someone, I've always been able to try to use that opportunity to teach, as opposed to criticize, or try to hurt the other person back. It's a teachable moment that we can all learn from, and hopefully the person walks away with a bit more humility. And but that's I can't let those kind of things hold me back, or stop me from wanting to do the things that I want to do in the community, and or make the changes I want to see in the community. So
that's what I like about it, man. You gotta be focused on the right things when it comes down to situations like that, especially because it's crazy to even remotely think like that, because I guess recently I just walked into a store, and you start getting the people that start following you around the store and stuff like that. And I kind of walked in the store with a guy, and it was a gentleman standing outside the store, and he asked me for money and asked, can I buy him something to eat? And I was like, yeah, that's fine. Like, I'll buy you something, and then I'll come out and then I'll buy you something to eat, and I'll do what I can in there. And then there was another guy in there, and the lady was following him around the whole time, and he was kind of like walking in the same direction as me. And I'm thinking, like, usually that's me if I'm back in the States and I'm the one being followed around the store like that. And I'm like, it's so crazy how it's so different here rather than being back home where I'm actually from. And yeah, it's just little stuff like that. It's just people don't shine light to it, but at the same time, they say that there's no racism or discrimination here in Saskatchewan, but this is just as bad as anywhere else in the world. And it's like you said, it's all the way about how you handle the situation and let somebody know that, hey, I'm not in here for bad intentions. I'm in here just like any other normal shopper. So
yeah, and it's funny, Thomas, you mentioned the way you dress, because I just yesterday or the day before, I was reading an article online about there was an African American cop that went into a store, I think in Virginia, or a restaurant, and he waited in line for 45 minutes to get served. He went up to the front, he was going to get served, and they denied him. And he was exactly what you said, Thomas, in a bunny hug, or he wasn't in his uniform, right? And he was a chief in Virginia, and he was sitting there, and then he got denied service twice. Well, he went back the next day. He wanted to make it a teachable moment. He went back in his uniform, and then all of a sudden he was treated differently, with respect, they said. And I'm reading that, and I was going, oh my God, and to be able to do that, how do you deal with it? Like, I mean, how do you lead and tell everybody in your communities, because you are now a CEO, you're a leader here at a multi-million-dollar corporation. What is your message then because you are in charge of like 11 nations or tribes in Saskatchewan? What is your message? What is your message to all those 11 tribes and all the youth that's looking up to you?
Well, our 11 nations, I mean, I guess what we always try to portray in our organization, and what I've always tried to portray in the community is always try to look for the positives, because, I mean, in our communities, you flip on the TV, or you're scrolling through your social media, and you come across these stories, and a lot of times they're negative stories about Indigenous people. And I don't want to perpetuate the stereotypes or perpetuate the stories that are being spoken about. And so we want people to be positive. We want our own people to have some pride in we are doing great things. We are successful. Let's talk about those things. Let's focus on some of the positive things that we're doing in our community. And hopefully that's because I always think about our youth, what they have to listen to these difficult messages or stories every day. And so when they interact with us or interact with our brand, it's more of a positive story for them to be able to participate in. So that's how we like to I guess portray that leadership in the community is just be a lot more positive and give people something to hope for.
Yeah, I mean, you seem like such a very calm guy, very, positive, calm, and a very smart guy, man.
Only thing I don't like what y'all talk about right now is because y'all said bunny hug. And this is not considered a bunny hug. For all my American viewers out there and people in other places other than Saskatchewan who are used to, this is what they're calling a bunny hug.
Okay,
for
so
some odd reason. I have no clue where that term came from because there's no ears attached to this. This is called a hoodie. So
yeah, very well brought up here, Charleston, because that is such a sticking point to everybody else who's not from Saskatchewan, everybody watching outside here. That's what here in Saskatchewan, it's a very Saskatchewan term. It's called a bunny hug, right, Thomas? Have you called that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Exactly. So, to everybody else outside of Saskatchewan, that's called a hoodie. And so we were saying when they're just like that, it's a hoodie. But yeah, okay.
guys are so confused.
Yeah. We were talking about with Charleston about how we have different lingo than him as an American to be able to do that. But so Thomas, I want to know tell us a little bit more about these 11 nations and how you're involved with them. And that's throughout Saskatchewan here, or is it just in certain sectors or all across?
Well, it's in southern Saskatchewan, so within the Treaty 4 territory. So we have 11 nations that are limited partners and essentially owners of the development corporation, and as well as the tribal council. So the File Hills Qu'Appelle Tribal Council is sort of our political entity that works with those 11 nations. And then the 11 nations are they're made up of linguistic groups such as the Cree or Nahel, Saulteaux or Anishinaabe, Dakota, Lakota, and Nakota. So it's so we have 5 distinct tribal groups within our 11 nations. So we're very, very diverse as a tribal council in Canada.
Sounds, one of the things I always love when here in Regina is when we have our mosaic, our cultural event here in Saskatchewan. The one thing that amazes me is the native pavilion. When you go to there, it is unbelievable, the dancing. Are you a dancer, Thomas? Have you seen Charleston the Native Americans dance?
Oh, yeah.
and how that in their ceremony? Are you a dancer, Thomas?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. So me and my family we're all powwow family. We all dance powwow, and I'm a prairie chicken dancer. So
what does that mean?
yeah, it's
Yeah. Charleston's like, what? It's not the chicken dance. It's
I don't know. I like chicken, but you got to explain to me what.
So there's different styles, and the prairie chicken dance is one of our oldest styles of dance, and it replicates the prairie chicken. So if you've ever been in you're in the Canadian prairies, but out in the prairies, there's these chickens, and they do this dance, and it's a mating dance that they do, and so they are able to attract a partner based on their dance, and so it's showmanship. And courtship that happens with that particular dance, and it's been taken and made as part of our ceremonies. And the Blackfoot in southern Alberta, that is a signature ceremonial dance that they follow or are accustomed to. And so it's a part of our powwows. So there's different categories that we have, and there's men's grass dance, there's traditional, there's the fancy bustle with the huge bustles on our backs. So it's different styles of dances, both men and women. And so I'm dance prairie chicken, and then my son is a fancy bustle dancer, so he has the big bustles on his back. My wife is an old style jingle dress dancer. My oldest daughter is a contemporary jingle dress dancer. And our baby, she's jingle and fancy. She's a little bit of everything. So,
And
yeah.
that's amazing. It's just amazing how that I love, and you go to all these different pavilions and you get to see the culture, but the pride and everything. And the one thing that really hits home is that being here in Saskatchewan and in Canada, and I'm sure it's the same thing down in the States, that we have such a great tide to the Indigenous community, right? We're always around each other, and we're always trying to be able to, we see each other, we interact with each other. I know for me, growing up in Saskatoon, I had a few buddies, the Rope Boys, Derek and Kelly. They were on my hockey team, and they're very proud members of the Indigenous community in Saskatoon. And just to be able to watch them. But you get to see, here in Regina, you get to see so much of the culture with the Indigenous community, and be able to do that, and really fascinates me, and be able to see how everybody's able to interact. And that's one of the things that I wanted to be able to talk about after this commercial break. But I want to be able to know more, Thomas, about how you're interacting with your company, FHQ Development, and some of the other businesses here in Regina, and how that's going to play in, and how your kind of business development is playing out, and how that's working across here in Saskatchewan. But we're just going to take a short break. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, my name is Rob Peterson. I'm the broker owner of Realty One in Regina. Real estate and life is about great people, and that's why I'm associated with Charleston Hughes and Johan Zielinski and IKS to sponsor the Better with Age podcast. Realty One was founded in Regina 11 years ago. It's an independent brokerage, it's local, and it's full of great people helping great local Regina people buy and sell properties. It's entrepreneurial based, which means you have non-narcissistic agents that have your best interest in mind, not their own. In these coronavirus times, real estate market right now in Regina and Saskatchewan is thriving because people are thinking more local. They're not thinking about traveling because we can't, and that's driving our market. When you hire a realtor, no matter who it is, no matter what company, please interview them. Please make sure they're a good personal fit for you, because that's what this is all about. It's good people connecting themselves with someone that they know has their best interest in mind. And that's what the Realty One family does, and that's what a lot of agents in Regina do. But make sure you take your time and find the best fit for you and your family.
It's that time of year when divisions are decided, champions are crowned, and legends are born. Now, it's your turn to win big. You've heard the name just about everywhere, MyBookie. They're the industry's leading online sportsbook and casino, and it's not hard to understand why. With thousands of lines to bet on all your favorite sports, NFL, NBA, and college ball. Check, check, and check. MMA and soccer, they've got all the latest odds, period. Take advantage of MyBookie's prop builder and live in-game betting, where every single run, throw, and touchdown is another chance for you to put cash in your pocket. Visit their mobile-friendly website today and get your deposit matched halfway up to $1,000. Just use the promo code when you make your first deposit. The best part is they make it simple, with a variety of ways to deposit instantly, including credit card, bank transfer, Bitcoin, and more. Whether you're at home or on the go, on your laptop or on your phone, it's not too late to make your New Year's resolution a resolution to get paid. Bet, win, and get paid at MyBookie.
All right, and we're back here today.
We're back.
We're back with CEO Thomas Benjoe from FHQ Development. Thomas, we were talking a little bit before the break about how you're a young CEO, and we want to know more about your business, about FHQ Development, and how that's going. Teach us more about what you're trying to do here in the Regina business community.
Sure. Well, I guess, one of the things that's, I guess, a little different in how we manage business, what we try to do as an organization is try to demonstrate more impact, or economic or socioeconomic impact in the business models that we have as an organization. And how we've done that is we try to show organizations and our clients that there isn't a single individual that benefits from a our organization or the wealth that's created from our organization. It's actually the benefit of multiple communities and multiple people. So we have, our 11 nations that are owners in the company, but we also have 16,000 citizens that are from those communities. And so they're, essentially affected by the success of the business. And so, when we look at how we try to create impact in the community, it's not just about the wealth creation. We also look at, well, what does employment look like? How do we make sure that there's Indigenous employment? How do we make sure that there's Indigenous capacity building and development that's actually happening, so that our own Indigenous members that are in our companies are not just serving on the front line, and that they are actually growing inside of the company, so becoming mid-level managers or becoming executives in our companies. How do we make sure that we develop those individuals to those more senior roles? We look at it from a governance perspective. How do we make sure from a board level that we are governing and learning how to be board of directors members on our companies, and how do we make sure we're developing people that way? And then, we look at the reinvestment. So we're an organization that, we're committed to sustainability. And so what that means is we want to make sure that the businesses we create are going to be here for a very long period of time. So, we're not just creating companies for the sake of creating companies. We want to see some longevity. And so, we make sure that there's good sustainability models built in those business models, and that we can see success long term. And so what that also means from a reinvestment standpoint is that all the wealth that's created from our companies actually is reinvested into more companies. And so we continue to add more and more companies each year. Right now, we have a goal of establishing 3 new companies each year for the next 3 years. But I think, with the way things are going for us right now, we may actually exceed that each year as we kind of continue to grow.
Sorry, Thomas, you said 3 new companies each year.
Yeah.
And how the hell are you going to do that after COVID?
Yeah.
And, with something like that, that's a lot to be able to put on the plate, to be able to do that. It's fantastic goals. How are you guys going to be able to do that? Because, one thing I've seen here in Saskatchewan, and it's all over, is that, man, it's unfortunate, but COVID has really affected a lot of the businesses. I'm in the hospitality industry, right? And, we just saw another notice of closure of one of Regina's landmark restaurants, Brewster's in Normanview, is going to be shutting down at the end of this month. And I'm going, man, for you to be able to open up, and I love that term, sustainability, and to do that, that's awesome. How are you guys going to be able to roll out, or how do you roll that out? That's a fantastic game plan.
So I guess in a lot of our models, so what we're doing is a lot of times we're creating limited partnerships. So we're actually bringing in partners that have a tremendous amount of capacity. So actually we'll be announcing. We just signed off on our agreements, but we will be announcing one of our newest companies, so Stone and Arrow Consulting, which is a partnership with Stantec. And of course, Stantec is well known around the world, engineering company, and has a history in project management, and are a very large multinational company. And we're now going to have their capacity within this new company that's been created. So it's creating partnerships like that very strategically to help us develop the capacity to be able to do major projects. Or it's very strategic acquisitions of companies that we think we can purchase and turn into or grow based on our business model. So that's basically how we're doing it. And in terms of
I'm amazed. I'm
really
amazed by that.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there amazed, trying to think like, oh man, that's great. you're spreading it out throughout multiple companies, creating, you know, multiple revenue streams. And, you know, that's what it seems like part of the business model is to keep as many revenue streams open as possible to always keep generating some kind of income, whether it's a small partnership or a large partnership, or we at full, you know, ownership of a company, you know, it's still creating revenue streams.
Yeah. So we look at different types of business models, and at all times. So I'm an entrepreneur through and through. So, and oftentimes when we think about, well, what is an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is somebody that solves problems. And so, you know, you figure out a way to solve a problem for a client. And as long as you're constantly solving problems and trying to innovate your company, well, you're always going to be ahead of the game. Unfortunately, not all business owners are entrepreneurs. And that's, you know, what happens sometimes when we become a bit complacent in our strategy within our organizations. And I see this all the time because, I mean, we're constantly assessing businesses to be able to acquire. So I look for those little issues, I guess, that, you know, can I create an opportunity out of the problems that this company has created over the years? And how can I flip that and then turn it into opportunity for us? So it's that's, you know, really the recipe that we've been able to establish here, and just having great partners is really helps us tremendously.
Yeah. How did you develop that mindset? I mean, obviously you're a well-educated guy. You went to school here at U of R, correct?
Yeah, First Nations University and U of R. So it was both institutions and both business schools. So I have a background in Indigenous business and economic development, and as well as Indigenous governance. So very unique business background from First Nations University, but also a lot of the other more senior level courses, I guess, from the U of R.
I love that. And I mean, you mentioned earlier too before about having the resources of 16,000 people to kind of work with you within your group. Is that correct?
Yeah, so there's 16,000 citizens from our nations, and so they're the ones that are going to benefit from our companies at the end of at the end of the day. So
Is that
that's exciting.
is there any pressure? Do you lose sleep over that sometimes? You go, man, I'm responsible for 16,000 people, and what's going to happen? I mean, do you ever lose sleep on that with that kind of weight on kind of your shoulders?
It's what wakes me up every day, right? It's I have a passion for doing this. It's, you know, I wanted to be able to help it. These are the gifts I was given. So this is how I'm going to be able to share those gifts is through business. You know, and our nations themselves, I mean, they have their own businesses as well. They have their own development corporations. And, you know, we want to see them continue to develop more and more of their own businesses alongside, you know, we're going to continue to grow the businesses that we have as an organization as well. But, you know, the more businesses we have, the more wealth that's going to be able to be generated, and the greater prosperity. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, the vision is here that, you know, our communities have the financial independence to be able to manage their own affairs. That means free from having to ask government for funding to do the things that actually matter in our communities. And so that's why we're trying to develop all of this business, is so that, you know, we have more freedom to be able to do that and make our own decisions.
Good for you. Good for you. I mean, you're a busy man, that's for sure. I want to be able to touch base a little bit now on what you have coming on. Not like you aren't busy enough as is, Thomas. All of a sudden, you are now doing more here in the community of Regina. Tell us a little bit more about what you have coming up with May.
Said he about to be chief of. Hold on. Tell me again. What is it?
Sure. I'll be the chair of the Saskatchewan Chamber of Commerce. So I'm the incoming chair. So, you know, helping to lead Saskatchewan's business community through the chamber, and we have, you know, quite a lot of members throughout Saskatchewan, and you know, we've already done some pretty unique things through the organization. We created Canada's first Indigenous engagement charter, which is super exciting, and We've had, significant uptake from a lot of Saskatchewan businesses, and a lot of attention from other chambers, provincial chambers across Canada, looking at us, and even the Canadian Chamber, and what it is we're doing here to make sure that the business community has the necessary tools to be able to work and create Indigenous engagement opportunities with Indigenous business in Saskatchewan. So it's super exciting, and we should be all very proud of that.
Do you think it's been difficult in the past for some people to be able to associate businesses and that interrelationship with Indigenous communities, or with that kind of bond? Do you think it's been a lack of here in Saskatchewan in the past?
I think it's a lack everywhere. I think, through the Truth and Reconciliation, that has really given, light to the issues that, about Indigenous engagement. And so more and more companies are now saying, well, what should my strategy be? How can I participate? How can I get involved with more Indigenous business? And a lot of them have these questions, small business to medium-sized enterprises to the large corporations. They want to be able to do this, but they don't have anyone that can show them how or teach them how. And so, that was the whole reason behind the Indigenous Engagement Charter was, well, let's develop a set of tools that these companies, small to large corporate, can use and develop their own engagement strategies. And so there's really no excuse for a Saskatchewan business not to have some type of an engagement strategy.
That is 100% true, man. And one thing I was thinking about, like when you said, you're responsible for 16,000 people throughout 11 different nations, and all the funding that comes through and all the revenue that comes through is dispersed out amongst the 11 nations. Like, what kind of things can the people of those 11 nations, like the 16,000 people, how can they take advantage of the situation? How can they get involved in, looking for maybe a job or employment, or how can they be a part of, at least trying to develop within the company?
Yeah, so we actually have an HR company. It's called Tokata HR Solutions. And so that part of our company manages the Indigenous talent that we have. So we have a very large database of not only our members from our communities, but members from outside of our communities that are registered in that system. And we put them to work within our company when we do have opportunities for employment. I mean, it's still competitive, but when they do get that opportunity, we are, pushing them a little harder to make sure that they develop themselves and hopefully take on leadership roles. So, that's how we're reaching out. And as well, I mean, we have an ECDev function for our organization, which means we actually try to create tools and resources for not only our nations and their businesses, but our own entrepreneurs. So, with 16,000 citizens, I mean, there's a lot of entrepreneurs within that pool as well that are looking for resources. And so we develop those resources for them.
That's awesome, man.
That's definitely, you've definitely taught me a lot, Thomas, today, a lot about the ways that we can work together, the ways that you're working together. You seem like you have no free time whatsoever with all the different stuff that you're doing. My last question to you is, what the hell do you do for free time and for fun? It seems that you're soon to be, in May, the chair of the Chamber of Commerce. What does a guy like you do for fun? You have family, you have 3 kids, and they sound like they're young.
3 kids.
I know
kids,
you can't be walking around with a suit on all day. I know I can't.
CEO,
like, suits make me hot.
Soon to be
I start
chair.
sweating.
What the hell do you do for fun? When's your downtime?
We spend a lot of time together as a family, and I get this question a lot from a lot of people, and especially a lot of non-Indigenous people. I always get the question of, where do you find the time with family? And my best response is my family's a part of. They're a part of the business as well. They're not an owner in the business or anything, but I make sure that they feel that. they understand the effects of what my role entails, and they know what positives are being created in the community, and I allow them to participate with us on opportunities where we get to volunteer, or just help dad out with a project, or have interesting conversations. My daughter's in high school, and she's starting to take an interest in business. So we have a lot of very interesting conversations. But we do a lot of camping, and because we're a powwow family, well, when we are able to get back to powwowing, we like to spend a lot of our weekends in the summer going to powwows every weekend, or we're on the golf course at 6 a.m. So
Nice.
those are fun stuff.
Yeah. Well, what's the one, Thomas? What's the one message, if you want to be able to relay a message to our viewers across North America? Especially a lot of them here in Saskatchewan. What's the one message that you'd like to be able to say to them about your Indigenous community, or what you're doing, or in general? Is there any message that you like to be able to relay to people, or say, or anything in general?
Yeah, I think, I just, like to challenge people all the time in terms of, help make a difference, and you've seen all of the calls to action. Our nations are not asking for handouts. It's quite the opposite. We're here. We're ready to work. We're ready to partner. We're ready to create opportunity. And there are more opportunities being created because of the changes in policy that are happening, across Canada, within provincial organizations. And so there's more and more opportunity that's being created. And, what a great way of making a difference in the community by utilizing a business model like our own, where the benefits to the community are significant because of the way that we choose to give back, the way that we choose to employ local people, the way that we choose to share our knowledge and our value system. So there's great opportunities here, and I always just like to challenge people. I mean, there's an opportunity to have an engagement strategy, and it's even if you're not from Saskatchewan, you can still go to our website on the Saskatchewan Chamber of Commerce and actually take a look at some of the tools there. And we even have free Indigenous awareness training coming up. So that's open to anyone, not just in Saskatchewan, but anywhere in the world, quite frankly.
Wow, that's awesome, and that's truly been very unique opportunity to be able to talk to you, Thomas. Thank you very much for taking the time, because my friends always say, time is precious and time is very valuable. Your time, I think, is a lot more valuable than Charleston and my time.
Yeah, man,
but we do want to say
16,000 people to look at.
Yeah.
Man. You got 16,000 kids damn near.
we really do appreciate you speaking with us, and we look forward to an opportunity to be able to maybe partner with you and with different Indigenous communities throughout Saskatchewan and all over. So thank you very much for speaking to us. We always close the show with Charleston's
awesome.
wise words. So I'll let Charleston close off.
I wish I could put my suit and tie on when I get ready to say this right now.
we should have dressed up a little more.
What'd you say?
You have your bunny hug on, so that's good.
It's not a bunny hug, man. It's a hoodie. No, man, but I would say the same thing as Johan, man. Thanks for coming on the show, man. This was awesome. I finally got a chance to get you on here and talk to you. Even when I told you before, I don't even know how we came across the subject, but we came across the subject and saw you on the news, and you're getting a lot of momentum and a lot of talk about the company that you have and what's going on and all the great things you're doing throughout the Indigenous community. And I know I do a lot of stuff throughout, Indigenous communities, and I've partnered with Creative Fire, which is a full-on Indigenous company out in Saskatoon. I've partnered with a lot of different companies throughout all of Saskatchewan to do great things throughout communities. And I think one thing that you said was go out and make a difference. And that's one thing that I learned in college was to go mad is what we call it. And we spent our whole entire year in our entrepreneurial college, a business school, talking about go mad, go mad, go mad. And it's always like go out and make a difference. Go out and make a difference. Go out and make a difference. And that's one thing that you said today that popped in my head that, you know, has been with me ever since I graduated college, is to go out and make a difference in any way you can, whether it's through your everyday life and helping somebody on the street, or whether it's, you know, running a company with 16,000 people and you got to make a difference in all these people's lives. And, you know, it matters in the end when it really comes down to it. And it's little things like that that gives you a lot of self-worth when it's all said and done. And I think your family should be very proud of you for that. But this is the Better with Age podcast, man. The reason we call it the Better with Age podcast is because there's many things that get better with age. There's wine, there's whiskey, there's your beautiful face. Every year you get older, you're gonna keep that hair flowing like it is, and don't let it stop, buddy. But the most important thing of them all is friendships. And now that you've been on the show, you're a Better with Age friend of me and Johan's. So welcome to the show, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate the invite to be on the show and just to share that you know, a little bit about who we are as a company. And yeah, look forward to working with you guys some more.
And we definitely want to come out to the next powwow. You got to invite Charleston and I out there.
You got to show me this chicken dance.
Yeah,
I want to learn. I want to learn.
I think we all want to learn. We all want to go out. So definitely we'll be in touch, Thomas. Thanks again for everything. Good luck with everything you're doing, and all the best to you.
All right, thanks.
Go mad.